Welcome back to AMG 101. This is episode 3. I am Peyton.
I'm Cam.
And we are in the current week 2 of the AMG season, just getting started. I think we've had about half the week 2 games played, so we got a little bit to talk about there. First thing we're going to start off with is our panic or patience teams. Do we think these teams need to start panicking because they're 0-2? Do they need to maybe make some trades, pick up some guys, figure out what's going on? Or can they stay calm, ride it out? They're going to make the playoffs. They'll be fine. And our first team that we have to talk about comes from the AFC South, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cam, what do you think? Do they need to panic, or are they fine? Are they show some patience?
I personally think that the Jags are going to be just fine. They did play some pretty tough opponents, I would say. I mean, the Falcons and James Williams, the Saints and Tom Brady with that offensive powerhouse that they have. I mean, we know that the Jags are experienced in the playoffs. We know that they got a Super Bowl a couple of seasons ago. I mean, I think they're going to be just fine. Very young, talented team. I really trust in Trevor, Etienne, and that offense. I think they're just going to be just fine.
I'm going to go on the opposite side of you here. I think they might need to have a little bit of panic here. That first loss to the Falcons wasn't too bad, lost by 5. But that loss to the Saints, that's when I started to get scared. They lost to a team that has gotten better in the offseason, but 26-14. I mean, Trevor Lawrence did not have a good game. 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. I almost wonder if we're going to see a slump from Trevor. You know, he's looked great the past 2 seasons. What are we going to see from Trevor this year? He got a new weapon in Henry Ruggs. Maybe they're still getting acquainted. Ruggs did get 144 yards against the Saints. But you got to wonder what's going on if they're only putting up 14 points in that game. And the Saints haven't had a great defense recently. They've struggled. The Saints is a team that last week gave up 48 points to the Jets.
So I was just about to touch on that.
Why are the Jaguars... Yeah, exactly. Why are the Jaguars only putting up 14 points? They got to get something figured out on offense there. So they might need to be panicking a little bit. They got to get it figured out quick.
Considering that loss that the Saints had to the Jets, I mean, the Jets won 7 games in the past 2 seasons. So we really don't know. I mean, we really don't know how great the Saints are right now, I would say. And the Jags getting blown out by them. I don't know. I feel like it's early in the season. I'm still going to be patient with my Jags.
I think the other thing that would make me panic a little bit is just the division they're in. I mean, it is a tough division. I mean, you got the Titans at 2-0. The Colts are always a great team. And the Texans showing a little bit of life to begin the season, too. So, I mean, you got to be a little worried.
3 solid playoff teams there, yeah.
All right, so we're moving on to our next 0-2 team. And this one is definitely a shocker to me. And I know it's a shocker to Cam, and that is the Panthers. They have a loss to the Titans and the Colts, and the Colts loss was not a good one by 22 points.
Ugly.
So, Cam, your Panthers, are you panicking? Or are you going to be patient with them?
Peyton, you know me just as well as anybody in this league. You know I'm a big Panther fan, and the Panthers just got Deshaun Watson. He's a stud out of Clemson. This guy's a beast. I'm going to say, despite these first 2 losses, I'm going to say Deshaun gets this offense going. He has a lot of weapons to work with. DJ, Terrence Marshall, very young guy. Robbie Anderson, really speedy guy on the outside. I'm going to say that they're going to be hungry after this past week. It was kind of an embarrassing loss to Indy. But I'm going to say that the Panthers bounce back here for the rest of this season. So look out for Deshaun and these Panthers.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think it is time to panic, and here's why. I mean, Deshaun Watson obviously is going to be great for them eventually. Maybe he's still getting adjusted to the offense. I don't know. He's not there yet. But what they gave up for Deshaun might be what comes back to haunt them. That defense has struggled so far. Giving up 31 to the Titans, giving up 42 to the Colts. Couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor. And you know who I think would have been great and been able to stop Jonathan Taylor a little bit better?
Brian Burns, who traded?
Isaiah Simmons, who is not on the team anymore. So, I mean, you got to wonder if maybe that defense has got to find something in order to be a playoff team. Because, I'm not extremely worried about the offense. They got weapons. They're going to get it done. But it's just going to be, can Alex Anzalone fill the hole of Isaiah Simmons? I'm not convinced, that's for sure. I would definitely be looking for replacements somewhere. But I guess we'll just have to see. I'm going to be a little bit panicked if I'm a Panthers fan.
I'm going to say that, yeah, the defense has been struggling a little bit. But I think once this offense gets going and once, like you said, once Deshaun kind of gets used to the system, I feel like the offense is going to really propel them. I think they're going to be able to outscore a lot of these teams despite their defense kind of being, a little bit weaker with them losing Isaiah Simmons.
All right, and that brings us to our last 0-2 team that we were going to talk about, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a team that, coming into the season, they've started the end of the regular season last year was not good, but they won that playoff game. So you got a little bit of hope coming into the year. Like, maybe they're going to turn it around. They're going to have a big year, get back into the playoffs, and maybe get further. But they played two really good opponents to begin, the Lions and the Rams, both losses by double digits. And what are you thinking, Cam? Panic or patience?
I'm going to be honest. I am going to panic with this team just because, if you look at the last 8 games that they've played dating back to last season, they are 1-7. So I don't know what's going on there in Philly. I know we haven't gotten into our bold predictions yet, but one of my bold predictions right here, I'm going to say that the Eagles completely missed the playoffs as a whole. Honestly, they haven't really showed me anything these past, 8 games. So, yeah, I'm panicking for the Eagles right now.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say have a little bit of patience. And the reason why is I think Jalen Hurts, he struggled these first 2 games. He threw 5 picks against the Rams. He threw 3 picks against the Lions. I think Jalen's going to settle down. It's the first 2 games of the season. Maybe he's a little amped up. I think he's going to settle down, and he's going to go back to being a good quarterback for them, not turning the ball over so much, hopefully. And I think once that starts happening, then they'll start winning some games. Because that defense has been struggling, but the offense is not helping them out with the turnovers. So hopefully Jalen will put it together, and I think show a little patience, and they'll get back into the playoffs this year. And that's the end of our panic or patience.
One more thing about the Eagles. Go
ahead.
I will say this. If you're going to be patient with them, I think that the Eagles really need to utilize that run game, because when they did play the Rams and when they did beat the Rams and upset the Rams, Miles Sanders, he was having a day, and the Eagles didn't really have to rely so much on Jalen to win them the game, I guess you could say. So if they really utilize that run game, I personally would be patient with them as well. They got to get that run game going.
All right, and we're going to move on to some surprising teams that neither of us expected to either win their first game, the first couple games, and have just looked really good this season compared to previous seasons. And the first one we're going to start off with, it is a huge shocker, and that is the New York Jets. And it's not necessarily, the Jets haven't had some great seasons recently, but they also played 2 tough opponents. The Saints with that revamped offense, Jamar Chase, I think we all expected the Saints to come out and roll, to just all over that defense, which they did. But then the Jets just came right back at them with Zach Wilson. What a breakout performance. 6 touchdowns, 500 yards. And then the second-year receiver, Patrick Lindsey. It was just insane to watch the Jets. It looked like a totally different team out there both weeks.
The thing that surprised me about the Jets the most is Zach Wilson. This guy's been struggling this past 2 years. Just a complete turnover machine. And you see him go out there and throw for, what did you say, 6 touchdowns and 500 yards? That's insane. And then they go and beat the Dolphins. A team that we see in the playoffs pretty much every year. They're always in the discussion. And, I don't know. These Jets just look completely different than these past 2 years. It's pretty crazy, honestly. 2-0.
And what makes that Dolphins win even better? That's a division win for the Jets. Yep. You got to love that.
Huge. That's huge.
And speaking of, just of that, I think I'm going to say that the Jets they get over that hump. They make the playoffs this year.
If they keep playing how they've played these first 2 games, then yeah, definitely. But they have to stay consistent. Zach Wilson, he has to be smart with the football. He hasn't been these past 2 years, but over these past 2 games, yeah, he's been smart with it. So if they can just keep this rolling, definitely a playoff team.
All right, and our second surprise team would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers are not a terrible team. It's just, I think we all expected Baker to come in and maybe have a little time to get used to the system. Maybe he wouldn't come out firing right away. But boy, he just came out 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and not even a pick. A perfect passer rating. And I mean, what a great first game for him, and it gave them the win over the Raiders. And maybe it was the addition of Darren Waller giving Baker another weapon to go to. I don't know, but the Steelers, that's a huge win for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Baker came out and threw 2 incompletions, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I personally wasn't expecting them to go out and win this game against, a solid team like the Raiders, especially with them adding Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I mean, I was really surprised about that. I mean, the Steelers are a team last year. They went through 5 different quarterbacks, and we were all thinking if they found their guy, like, what could they do, And here they are with Baker. I mean, I feel like this is a team that could really surprise some people this year and maybe make a playoff run.
I think I agree with you. I mean, coming into this game, I was more focused on the Raiders. Are the Raiders going to be able to get back in the playoffs? Or is Aaron Rodgers going to be that guy? And then the Steelers just come out and say, hey, look at us instead. We're going to beat these guys, and we're legit. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to be watching them this year. I feel like they're a sleeper team for the playoffs for sure.
100%. Yeah, agree with you.
And going into our next thing, we're going to give some bold predictions on the year. What might happen in this year? Might be a long shot, but we think it could happen. Cam, what's your first bold prediction?
My first bold prediction, the Super Bowl champs, the New York Giants. I think that, yes, they're still going to, compete this year, probably win the NFC East. But I'm going to say I just don't think they're going to be able to replicate that playoff run that they had last year. Daniel Jones played lights out. Saquon Barkley, he was doing Saquon Barkley things. But I think they're going to be a one-and-done team. I mean, how often do you see teams going back-to-back? I mean, you look at the first 7 seasons of AMG. No team has won back-to-back. So I'm going to say that Giants, I think they're going to have a first-round exit.
I think really the question that comes down to for them is, can Daniel Jones just replicate the playoff success? Because I know during the regular season last year, he had some good numbers, but he was always struggling with accuracy issues. Almost every game, he would have a couple passes that a couple of them cost the Giants the game.
That's what I was about to say, yeah. It was in those big-time moments.
Exactly. So can he put that? He did it somehow in the playoffs. He put it together. But can he do that again? I'm not 100% sold either. It would take another miracle run, I think, for the Giants to get there, but who knows? Maybe they got it in them. But we'll move on to my first bold prediction, and we're heading to Detroit for this one. I think the man, Jared Goff, is going to win MVP this year. Goff recently ever since he came to Detroit, he has been putting up the numbers. He's been looking outstanding as a Lion. And this offseason, what did the Lions do? They go out, get the man another weapon. They got Curtis Samuel for him. And Curtis Samuel and Michael Gallup, that's just a great receiving core that I wouldn't want to mess with. And I think them two, plus DeAndre Swift, and they also signed Rob Gronkowski to go with Hawkinson. I mean, I think that offense is star-studded. And Jared Goff is ready to take that next step and become one of the most elite quarterbacks in the league. And I think this is the year he wins MVP.
I will say this. He had a monster day against Philly. He really has some speedy guys. Jamison Crowder, Michael Gallup, Curtis Samuel. I'm not seeing Curtis Samuel on the stat sheet right here.
He was hurt in the first game.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, when you look at Jamison Crowder, Curtis Samuel, Michael Gallup, I could definitely see that being a possibility, honestly. But for me personally, I think Jared Goff is going to have to win the North, make the playoffs for me to even kind of put him in that conversation. Because for me, in my opinion, I think you need to win games, make the playoffs. They missed it last year. But I do think they have potential to make the playoffs here. And I don't know if he's going to win the MVP, but I could definitely see him being in discussion with all the weapons he has.
All right, Cam, let's hear your next bold prediction.
My next bold prediction, this one kind of hits home for me. Like we were talking about them earlier, the Panthers, they've got off to a slow start. But I don't know. I believe in Deshaun Watson, and I believe in this coaching staff. I think that they are going to shock the world and win the NFC South despite, with the Falcons in the division and the Bucs in their division, both great playoff teams. But I don't see the Falcons replicating that year that they had last year. I don't think James Williams is legit. We saw him in the playoffs. Obviously, he wasn't meant for it. I mean, he threw 6 interceptions. They got blown out by New York. I don't know if that rookie, he has no experience, so I'm not going to trust in that guy. I'm going with Deshaun, and I'm going with the Carolina Panthers to win the South.
I think the Panthers could be a possible wild card team, but I really think it is going to take a lot for them to win this division. And that's because, the Buccaneers, I think they got their guy, and Daniel Singh, I think he's going to be amazing for them this year. I think they could be the division winner easily if he continues the success he had in his first game. And then the Falcons, of course, coming off that big year last year with Kyle Pitts and James Williams, I'm not convinced that they won't do the same thing this year and get right back into the playoffs and possibly win the division. That's a solid team, and they drafted a new running back to go with it. Yep. And then the Saints also making moves this offseason, trading for Jamar Chase. That receiving core, probably the best in AMG. You got to put it up there as one of the best. And is that offense enough to get past their defense? So far has been their issue. Is that enough to get past their defense and get them the division win? Possibly. The Panthers, it's going to take a lot. These teams, other 3 teams are really, really good. And to start 0-2 is not the best start for them. So, it is possible they could win in the South, but I personally don't think it'll happen. Now my next bold prediction, and we're going to talk about the 49ers here and Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is on the verge of his breakout year. I think this is his breakout year. He is going to finally become the player we're all expecting to be. He's steadily gotten better. He hasn't had an amazing season yet in AMG. He's been okay. The main problem so far, of course, has been his interceptions. First year, he threw 25 touchdowns, 29 interceptions. But then last year, 32 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. Still a lot of interceptions, but that touchdown ratio a little bit better. And I think he gets even better this year. Hopefully he keeps it under that 20 interception mark and hopefully up into the 35 touchdown range. I think Trey Lance has that breakout. And 49ers, not a bad looking team so far. Got a lot of weapons for Trey Lance with Debo and Brandon Ayuk. I could see the 49ers get sneaking in as a wild card if Trey Lance has that year. I think he's going to.
I think I'm going to agree with you here. Looking at the stats, he has improved. The first year, he threw for 65%. He completed 65% of his passes. Improved that to 68. Threw for 3,600 yards in his first season, and then threw for over 4,000 his next season. And he was smarter with the football last year, and I personally think he's going to get better. And who knows? They haven't made the playoffs these past 2 seasons, but if Trey Lance, improves even more, building off from last season, I could see them maybe being a wildcard team.
Before we close out this episode 3, we are going to give our way too early Super Bowl matchups. Obviously, we have no idea if these teams will even make the playoffs, but here's who we think will be in the Super Bowl at the end of the year. Cam, lead us off.
I'm going to put the Panthers up there, and I'm going to say that they are going to face the Colts. I'm going to put the Colts in this discussion because I was so high on them last year. They have one of the best defenses in AMG. Jordan Love, I think he surprised everybody. I don't know if anybody really thought he was going to be this good of a game manager for these Colts. Obviously they have Jonathan Taylor. The guy's a stud. And we all watched that game last year where they played the Ravens and they were stopped at the 1-yard line. I don't think any other team in AMG is going to be hungrier than this Colts team to get back in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. And the Panthers, yeah, their defense is struggling, but like I said, they have a way too talented of an offense and a quarterback and that coaching staff. I really just think that it's a little bit too early to count them out. I know they're 0-2, but yeah, I'm going to say the Panthers and Colts here for AMG Season 7 Super Bowl.
I'm going to go 2 totally different directions here. I am going to go from the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams, and from the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'll give you my reasons for both of those teams. I think with the Rams. Keith Turner, not a great season last year. Enough to win the division, not great. Gets into the playoffs, and then we got that game against the Eagles where they struggled, couldn't really get anything going on offense, and they lost to the first round to the Eagles. Now, I think Keith Turner got a little bit of taste of the success in the NFL, in the AMG, the playoffs, what it's like, and I think he's back and he's ready. He's already improved a little bit this year. He's not he's got a better touchdown interception ratio through the first 2 games. Not huge sample, but he's still doing a little bit better so far, taking care of the ball. And I think he wants to get back to the playoffs. And instead of going out first round, I think he wants to get to the Super Bowl. And I think that'll be this year for Keith. And he'll really show he's the guy for Los Angeles. And then on the other side, the Chiefs, but got to the Super Bowl last year. And some might think, oh, this is a lazy pick. The Chiefs, of course you're going to pick them. They were there last year. But I think the Chiefs, they're that same team. They didn't really lose anybody important. I don't think their offense is always going to be just unstoppable. And I think that'll be enough to get them back there. Pat's ready to go. And I think Chiefs are ready to win that Super Bowl this year.
I'm going to say that the Chiefs, this team, they were just a few yards short of sending that game to overtime. And I think if they would have got the ball in overtime, they're winning that game. So really, they were just a field goal short. I will say that I don't really agree with the Rams. I don't trust in Keith Turner at all. For me personally, there were rumors in the offseason that maybe they were going to trade for Tua. If they would have gotten Tua, I would put them in this discussion, but they don't have their guy at quarterback yet, so that's why I wouldn't put the Rams there.
See, I'm not ready to give up on Keith yet. Let's give him at least one more season. Let's see if he's got what it takes. But and now if he has another season like last year, then I start to question maybe you need another guy to get you to the Super Bowl, because he can get you to playoffs, but can he make those plays in the playoffs to get you to the Super Bowl? That's the real question. And all right, I think that about wraps it up for episode 3. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see you guys.